Joining me now is Shaniqua McClendon, Vice President of Political Strategy at Crooked Media, along with former Florida Representative and MSNBC political analyst Carlos Curbelo. Glad to see you both here. So, Shaniqua, your organization, Vote Save America, is raising relief money for California. Rumors spread online, including from Republican operatives, that the money was being funneled through a Democrat super PAC, or even that some of this relief money would actually be diverted to Democrats. Just take a moment to set the record straight. And how dangerous is it to politicize these disasters?
Yeah, so Crooked Media and Vote Save America have been around for about 7-8 years. And the work that we're doing, our audience always wants to be very engaged. Whenever something happens, they come to us, they want to know what they can do. And so we set up a fundraising opportunity to give money to organizations on the ground in Los Angeles responding to the wildfire disasters. And all of the money we raise goes out the door. We actually never touch it. If you go to our relief page, it's votesaveamerica.com/relief, you'll see that your donations go directly to those organizations. But what this really is, I've been watching your show as it's been on today, and you've talked a lot about people coming together. And in a moment where so many people are coming together, Crooked is based in Los Angeles. And a lot of our staff, a lot of our audience have been impacted by these fires. And in a moment when so many people are coming together to help out, we have these essentially trolls trying to create chaos and take attention away from the fact that they're not trying to help anyone. Right now, a lot of the work we do when we are responding to these disasters, we did it for Hurricane Helene, is because we're trying to fill the gap that a lot of Republicans have created in making our government unworkable. Government should be responding to all of this, but they can't, because we have a lot of people who are just really committed to sowing chaos in government. And so we're trying to meet a need that is there right now. And so all the money we're raising is going directly out the door, and we are trying to help people, not help Democrats or ourselves.
Okay, let's just drop the mic right there then, because I'm glad you've clarified for anybody who wanted to think otherwise. So, Carlos, there has been criticism of Mayor Karen Bass over the fire department's budget. The LA Times reports that while the department lost some positions and overtime funding, its operating budget increased year over year once firefighter raises and equipment purchases were approved. But that has gotten lost amid much of the criticism. When basic facts and truth aren't agreed on during a disaster, does it harm the response?
100%, Alex. And look, people do need to be held accountable. There has to be a review of policies. I mean, that makes perfect sense. But when we're in the middle of the fire, literally, it shouldn't be about that. Look, my district was hit in 2017 by Hurricane Irma. Parts of the district were devastated. Then Republican House Leader Kevin McCarthy visited my district with then Democratic leader Steny Hoyer. And at that time, it was all about how do we help these people, many of whom are living through the most difficult times of their lives. What can the federal government do to support local recovery efforts? And that's what it should be 100% about. Here in the state of Florida, should we have a debate about coastal resiliency, about how we rebuild, about those policies? Sure, but not while people are still homeless and suffering and grieving a very difficult situation. That's how it should be now in dealing with Los Angeles. We have to put those people and their immediate needs first. Over time, we can figure out what went wrong and what needs to be done better in the future.
Yeah, 100% agree with all you've said there. Shaniqua, in terms of rebuilding, Governor Newsom announced some landmark environmental laws in California. They're going to be suspended to allow the wildfire victims to rebuild their homes, their businesses more easily. Republicans have tried to completely, and by the way, falsely, blame this on environmental policies. Will states be pressured under Trump to not take action against the climate crisis, even when that's what contributes to disasters like this?
Yeah, I think they absolutely will. And we should acknowledge that denying climate is not something that Donald Trump brought to the Republican Party. It was happening long before him. But I do think with him in the White House, we're going to continue to see him put pressure on states that actually care about it. We've seen him across different issues threaten to withhold federal funding if state governments don't do exactly what he wants them to do. So I think we will see that. Something else that Governor Newsom said was that he wasn't going to back off of the work that California has done to care about the environment and make sure we're protecting it. He just wants to make sure there aren't delays for people who are in need right now. And so I think that we'll see leadership from people like Governor Newsom and other governors around the country who are not going to back down, but I do think they're going to see pressure from Donald Trump.
Yeah. Carlos, disregarding more of those bad faith arguments, what policy changes are needed to deal with the worsening and more frequent natural disasters?
Look, Alex, we have to talk about adaptation, how we rebuild communities, how we protect communities for a lot of these threats that even if we were to get our environmental house in order, that's not going to change for a long time, right? So much of this is baked in. In California, they deal with these horrible fires. Here in Florida, we deal with more and stronger hurricanes, right? That's not going to change overnight, even if we do more and more every day to clean up our economy and the environment. But the federal government has to be there to invest in infrastructure. The federal government has to be a partner to local governments and to states in helping rebuild in a way that prevents this from happening in the future. Next time there's a big fire, perhaps there are different provisions in place to prevent it from growing out of control in this way. All of these conversations about forest management, sure, all of the above. We need to figure out everything we can do to prevent this kind of tragedy in the future, or at least to mitigate it so it isn't so devastating to so many people.
Carlos Curbelo, Shaniqua McClendon, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.